it transmits. What's the range on that?
I do not know the range, sir.
Okay. Second question is how big was the screen you were viewing it on?
The screen is just it's another cell phone.
Okay, so you're viewing it on approximate a 4x2 screen, 4 inches.
We can
by 4
approximate
inches?
that, yes, sir.
You'd agree with me that it's really hard to pick up with the fast-moving video and a shaky video. It's hard to pick up details on a 4x2 screen, correct?
Really dependent.
Okay, well let's talk about this one in particular. All right, so starting with Tom Sutton. You came on to Tom Sutton because of a search warrant, correct?
That's correct.
And that was at a house on Forest Drive, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you were aware, actually I'll back up. Were you involved in the Eastlake investigation where they were looking for specific incidences of trafficking along Lakeshore Boulevard?
Could you be more specific, sir?
Okay. Were you in contact prior to this date with Detective Corin from the Eastlake Police Department?
Prior to this event that we're here for?
Prior to the events of the 24th,
yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And you were aware then that they were looking for a Honda van, gold/silver, was one of the vehicles that was identified, or no?
I don't recall.
Okay. You had no information regarding a beige Toyota Avalon prior to this date, though, did you?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. You did not provide the number to call on the control call that you testified to. You didn't provide that number, did you? You did not provide the phone number to the CI?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. You recall the CI in the video? Well, I'll back up. You testified that you had offered, that the paperwork that you had provided to the CI, you had offered positive recommendations with regard to pending felony charges that had not yet been brought through grand jury, correct?
As a blanket, that's most confidential informants were all signed this agreement with us for positive recommendations. In this case specifically, Eastlake PD held the charges for Mr. Sutton. Okay.
To be clear, those charges they'd not been presented to a court yet at this time. He'd been busted very recently, yes?
That would be something to ask Detective Corin, sir.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, Lake County Narcotics did not provide any information to the CI in order to set up this alleged buy bust, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, let's start with this. You testified that you search a CI beforehand and you make sure the only thing on their person is their personal cell phone so you can call them, correct?
Yes.
The cell phone with the built-in recording equipment that you guys provide.
Yes.
And 3, the marked funds, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at the start of the video, and I'll go to it, but it's 1B, the controlled buy video that the state has admitted. That is your voice at the start of the recording. Where is that? Where is that taking place? Is that at the Eastlake Police Department?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. So he had already been searched and he'd already been searched prior to that, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then you gave him, you see in the video, you hand someone the cell phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the prosecutor stopped the video at 6:40. I'm gonna go back to that, but I'm gonna ask you some questions beforehand. I believe theirs is mine's showing 11:44 on the timer, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. So you drop them off at time on 1B of 6 minutes and 40 seconds, correct?
If that's what it displays.
Okay, so when you drop him off, he actually walks into his residence, does he not?
Yes.
Okay. You do not maintain your vehicle outside his residence when he walks in the residence, correct?
No, I don't maintain it.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to A, B, and C. I'm going to start with 2B, actually. Okay. I'm going to put that on the full screen there. And you have a photographic version of that, or a reproduction of that in front of you, correct?
I do not, no.
Okay. Permission to approach, Your Honor. All right, I'm handing you what this finger marks 2A through C. I'd ask you to pull out 2B. Okay. So, for point of reference, the McDonald's is on the left-hand side in that picture of Lakeshore Boulevard, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Forest Drive runs from basically middle bottom till upper left-hand corner of that photo. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Portage Drive runs at a right angle from Forest Drive, going from lower left to upper right, correct?
Portage?
Portage, yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's a T intersection, yes?
Yes.
Okay. The residence he left from was on Portage Drive, correct?
Should be on Forest Drive, sir.
The residence is on Forest Drive?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's start with this. Where on that photo did you retreat to, or remove yourself to, however, whatever phrase you want to go, to make sure that you weren't observed while the alleged buy bust was attempted?
If you'd like, I'd show you here.
That'd be great.
It would be in, let me make sure that I got this right. If that is Portage, you can see, this would be the drop, and I would stay in this vicinity. I can't give you a specific location, but it was in this vicinity of where I kind of controlled mine.
That was my next question. Were you in your vehicle, or were you
In my vehicle, sir. Yes.
You were in your vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my next question is, do you see the little measuring stick at the bottom right-hand corner of that photo?
I do.
So that signifies that one of that unit of increment, 200 feet, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you a piece of graph paper,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask you to lay that over the map, put an A on a grid line where you were, and a B on a grid line to where you believe the CI was sitting in the McDonald's.
And what did you say for the CI?
It's A is where you were, B is where the CI is.
Now, this is an approximation again. Because I was in the vicinity and being mobile, I can move.
Understood. If you could then compare the distance between A and B on that grid paper to the 200-foot increment.
Approximately 200 feet compared to the photograph here.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you 5, actually not 5C, I'm going to show you 2C. All right, would you agree with me that this is a close-up of the McDonald's parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Overhead view, okay. And you're familiar with that McDonald's?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you identified, if my memory serves correct, that you placed the CI approximately by the white car, correct? At least in this photo.
No.
There's a, no. You put them.
White, which white vehicle, sir?
All right, so starting from the bottom left, at least from what I saw when you were using the pointer, if I'm wrong, please correct me. You place the CI approximately in the location. There's an empty space in the first space to the left, and then there's a white vehicle of some sort in the second space to the left. Obviously, this wasn't that day, but is that, where do you place it? Right about there?
No.
Okay. South or north, or to the left or to the right of there?
It would be to the, where he was dropped would be.
No, where he allegedly met my client.
Oh, in this vicinity here, yes, sir.
Okay, so
But I did not drop him there, no.
no, understood. You dropped him at his residence.
In the vicinity of his residence, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about what you're able to see on that video now. Pulling up 1B again, Your Honor.
What time are you starting at?
The place where the prosecutor stopped it at 6:40, Your Honor, was the drop-off. My computer's acting a little slow, so I'm trying to find that. Okay, perfect. You were able to observe over the monitor the CI go into his residence, correct?
Yes.
Okay. There were no other personnel from law enforcement in that residence with him from the time he walked in to the time he walked over, correct?
Correct.
And you have no knowledge as to what, if anything, may or may not have been in that residence, correct?
I do not.
Okay. I'm going to start here, Your Honor, and let it roll for 7 minutes. I'm going to actually pause it right here. He's placed the phone down at this point, correct? Camera
Seems
down.
as if, yes.
Yes. So you can't see anything that he's doing right now, can you?
I cannot know.
So if there was crack cocaine in the house, he could have palmed it and put it in his pocket and you would not have known, correct?
Could be a possibility.
Okay. You would also agree with me that in order, I'm going to strike that and rephrase that question, Your Honor, my apologies. In order to receive a positive recommendation, a CI that is working with Lake County Narcotics and or other local police agencies have to successfully complete drug transactions in order to get credit and a positive recommendation, correct?
Yes, or proffer or information leading to.
Right. But if they're not able to complete a buy, they don't get any credit, do they?
No, but they have as many opportunities as they present.
Okay. So it benefits them to be able to do at least a buy and certainly to be able to do as many buys as possible, yes?
In this specific case, it was this buy.
And this was the only buy he was able to accomplish.
On this date, yes.
Okay, but when someone is working with you, the more buys they do, the more credit they get, yes? Or the better the recommendation is, I guess I'll say it that way.
Depending on the charge, sir.
Oh, I'm not, and let me be clear, I'm not talking about a level of reduction, and I'm not talking about a X for Y calculation. What I'm saying is, the more work they do for you as far as completed buys, the more positive the recommendation would be in general.
It could be, and that's depending on the prosecution when discussed. If that charge is sent over, yes. Or in this case, East Lake Police Department was holding the charge. This was dependent on their decision of how much work he did.
Understood. But if you don't do the work, you don't get the benefit.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so right now I paused it. This counter shows 1255, Your Honor. And this is the copy of States 1B that I was provided. Let this play. I'm sorry, Your Honor, 1255 was what was remaining. Do you hear a voice in the background there?
Yes.
Do you know whose voice that is?
It's a TV.
How do you know it's a TV?
Sounds like a TV to me, sir.
Sounds like a TV to you, but you can't say whose voice that is.
No, I can't, no.
He could have put your recording device down. He still had his cell phone, or he could have used another phone in the residence and called somebody else, correct?
He could have.
I wish this guy would call, get this shit over with, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. The muffled whatever voice in the background. The reason it's muffled is his phone is put down and wherever that noise is coming from is further away from the recording device, correct?
I would assume so. I
Because
can't.
when he picks it up to tell you, I wish this guy would call, he's crystal clear, right?
Yes.
Got another question for you. You heard very staccato, dry coughing in the background there, right?
Yes.
Okay. When people smoke crack cocaine, it's a caustic substance, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Generally, when you take a hit, people tend to cough afterwards, from your experience as a years-long narcotics agent?
Cigarettes, crack cocaine, anything that's flammable, I guess. I'm not a doctor, though, sir.
Okay. You observe people smoking crack cocaine cough afterwards, right?
Personally, I've never observed somebody actually actively smoking crack cocaine.
Okay. But just to be clear, with that down and no one there, he could have been smoking crack cocaine while he was in his house, couldn't he?
It could be a possibility, yes.
No, I would rather wait. I normally don't call him again, I don't want to change anything up, if that's okay. How long has it been since we called?
And I apologize, Your Honor, but I think it's important to let this roll until he exits the house again.
Yeah, how long has it been since we called him? Oh, he should be here soon. He should be here soon.
We should have about an hour, or not an hour, excuse me, a minute and 40 seconds left, Your Honor. While we're watching the blank screen, I will ask you, would you agree with me that the vast majority of the time that he is in his house, you can't see anything?
There are things you can see though, sir, so yes and no.
Okay. There have been several patches of black screen where the phone's been turned down, where the camera cannot pick up anything, correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, while we're watching this, the only thing you can observe is the direction the camera is pointed, correct?
That is correct, yes.
He's calling me.
Okay. I've got that marked at 13:45. That's when things start to happen again, correct?
I believe so, if that's what it's reflecting.
Okay. So I'm going to move forward here. When he gets to the bench, picnic table. I went too far.
He's calling me. Dre. I'm coming.
Did you hear the name that he addressed the gentleman as?
Yes.
What was that name?
Dre.
It's not my client.
That is not no.
Okay. Can you see the time in the bottom left-hand corner?
From here, I can't make it out, sir.
Your Honor, for the record, I've stopped this at 14:07. If that has the record reflect. So I'm going to let it play. We'll see how long it takes you to walk over there. Which street is he exiting onto right now?
I believe that should be Forest Drive. I'm not 100% sure.
Now, he was in your line of sight the whole time?
No, not the whole time. I would look out my window and watch the video simultaneously.
Okay. Okay. Would you agree with me that this is when he reaches the edge of the McDonald's parking lot?
It looks as if.
Okay. And I'd ask the record to reflect, Your Honor, that 15:09 is the time here.
I'm gonna call him.
Again, just to be clear, phone set down again, correct? That's the very close-up of the warped wood of the picnic table. Would you agree with that?
I can't agree that he set it down. I don't know if it's still in his hand and he's just bracing himself to sit, or if he actually set it down, sir.
Okay. But the only thing you can see there is something very fuzzy, correct?
Which happens often, yes.
Okay.
I'm at the picnic table. No, he says he's pulling.
Okay. Sorry. Not quite where I want to
Right
pause.
now.
All right. You see where my pointer is right there?
I do, yes.
Would you agree that that is more or less the turn for the drive-through?
Looks like it is the drive-through, sir.
Okay, good. I'm going to quickly pull up 2C again. So that turn we were seeing for the drive-through, that's right about there, correct?
I have the exhibit here. It looks as if, yes.
Would you agree with me he was basically sitting directly across from the drive-through?
In that vicinity, yes.
Okay. So if we go directly across from the drive-through, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 spots up from the...
It's really dependent on the angle.
Right. Do you recall seeing a tree in that photo as well? In the video we were watching, there's a tree that...
I saw multiple trees. I can't say that's that one specifically, sir.
Okay.
Sorry about that. It's him. Toyota. Huh? Oh, thanks.
So, to be clear, when you were watching it that day, you don't know what was in his hand other than something small and white, correct?
That's what was exchanged with him, yes.
That wasn't my question. My question was, you can't tell what's in his hand, even in that still photo, other than something small and white, correct?
Yes?
Here, I'll make it easy. We'll pull up 5C. From that view, you can't tell what that is, correct?
From this view, no, I cannot tell.
Okay. And from what you saw that day on the moving video, on a 2x4 screen, you certainly couldn't tell what that was, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. To your knowledge, there was no testing of the receipt it was kept in for DNA, correct?
I cannot testify to that, I don't know.
So you're unaware of any?
Correct.
And you'd be unaware of any testing to determine whether or not the alleged crack cocaine that was found after the search of the vehicle my client was present in is of the same chemical composition at all as the amount that your CI turned over to you, correct?
Again, the only thing I can testify to is what my CI turned over to me. I can't testify to any kind of testing of that product.
Understood. And from that photo right there, you see a pair of jean shorts, correct?
I can, yes.
Okay. You can't tell if that's a male or female driving?
Not at that time, no.
Okay, and to being honest, you can't, this was June, correct?
June, yeah.
All right. From the skin tone of whoever is in the driver's seat, you can't even tell really their race. They could be a tanned Caucasian, it could be a light-skinned African-American, it could be Indian. You can't tell, I mean, from a leg with that flesh tone, you can't tell race at all, can you?
It could be.
We can go back up with the lights, thank you. Okay. So, to be clear, from the video, you couldn't physically see, you saw something white in his hand, but you were not able to see their hands even throughout the whole video, were you? There were times because of the way the camera was angled and him moving it, you lost sight of both the CIs and the person that is, I've been identified as my client's hands, correct?
The way these CIs are instructed for the videos is that to mainly focus on the transaction at hand.
Oh, I understand what they're instructed. I'm asking in the video that we watched, there are times when both of their hands are not visible, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there's numerous times before and after that the CI's hands are not visible, starting with the time he walked into the house.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to play the whole thing again unless necessary, or even the last part of it. CI walks back to his house, right? Or back to the house where you guys had dropped him off,
In
correct?
that area, yes.
Okay. Meet him there, correct?
Yes.
He gets in your vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We hear some radio traffic, yes?
Yes.
All right. Now, not only did you not have eyes, did you have eyes on the CI the whole time he was walking back or no?
Where I was positioned, I could see him, and I was moving to that position where I was I instructed him to pick him up.
Okay. You did not have eyes on the vehicle that had pulled up and then left the McDonald's?
Only briefly.
Okay. Do you recall him saying that they're heading down Forest?
On the radio traffic?
Do you recall, not on the radio traffic, do you recall your CI saying heading down Forest?
He mentioned something about Forest. Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you know at the time whether he was talking about where he was or where the car was?
That I couldn't
Okay.
tell you.
Did you call in a report of which way the car went?
My radio traffic reflected a tan Toyota,
Okay,
is what I said.
a tan Toyota. There was no mention in your radio traffic of the tinted windows or the
No.
tinted roof, and you didn't know the license plate?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I will ask you very quickly, you've already testified to this, but I just want to make sure we get it for the record here. You do not know where any of the other individuals were stationed observing, correct?
I do not know.
Okay. All right, you did not. As far as the debrief went, when did you call in? Did you call in sale completed and give information? That was after the debrief, correct? After you got in your car?
I'm confused by your question, sir. Can you
Okay.
rephrase that?
As far as radio traffic went, he's walking back. You have not called in that the sale's completed or any information about the vehicle?
I may have. It's not on this recording, but I may have said that the deal was complete.
Okay. All right. And from that video, you can't make out any details of that T-shirt, can you?
I could not. Of the
black T-shirt that the person in the passenger seat was wearing?
I could not make any details.
Okay, and you couldn't make out any, other than the fact the shorts were red, there was nothing that made them exceptional, correct?
That's correct. Just red shorts.
And while you identified, well, let me go back. There's actually a shadow over the left arm in that still photo, isn't there?
I don't
I'll
know.
bring it back up. We're at 5B. You can see there's generally some markings, but you can't really pick out exactly what tattoos there were, correct?
Correct.
And there were no specific tattoos called out to anyone as far as the person you were looking for?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. And tattoos are pretty darn common these days, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
One second, Your Honor. I believe I may have one more question, but I think I'm done. No more questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm gonna reconnect the HDMI cord. I'm gonna put up State's Exhibit 5C, which has already been previously admitted. We're looking at State's 5C. When this portion of the video, when you were listening to it, did the CI describe at all the gender of the driver?
Prior to the brief was that the individual that was meeting up with him was a black male that went by train.
And the suspected drugs that the CI gave you later, what was the packaging of those suspected drugs?
Packaging was a white and colored receipt that it was wrapped up into.
And I'm now handing you State's Exhibit 4, which has previously been admitted. Do you see anything that looks like a receipt in State's Exhibit 4?
Yes.
Is that consistent and looks substantially similar to how the suspected drugs appeared when he handed them to you?
Yes, it was wrapped up in this, like folded up.
Thank you. I'm taking State's Exhibit 4 back. Did you give the CI this Dre's phone number?
I did not know.
Did he already have the number to call Dre?
Yes.
And what was your primary duty for this controlled buy? Were you watching where the vehicle went?
My primary duty as the case agent is to manage and handle the confidential informant and the safety of that confidential informant. So it's to set it up, do our duties as far as our policy and procedure leading up to the controlled buy, and then debriefing the CI.
And the CI lived, at least up on that day, June 17, 2022, on Forest Drive.
That's correct.
Did you see the suspect vehicle headed the same direction as the CI was walking?
I did not know.
I'm now going to very briefly play 1B because I think it will play.
Today's date is Friday.
And I'm going to skip to 8:40.
I'm pausing at 9:02. Is that the noises that you heard that you thought might be a TV playing?
Yes, sir, it is.
And you were actively watching this feed the entire time, even when it was black, and listening.
Yes.
Did you hear anything concerning that while you were listening?
No, not at all.
Did you hear a lighter lighting?
No, I did not.
Is it, in your training experience, do drug dealers ever use aliases other than their real name?
Yes.
Do buyers ever use aliases other than their real name?
Yes.
And is that anything else? One moment, Your Honor. And Exhibit 4. And you get Exhibit 4 and then Exhibit 5C. Do these look substantially similar to each other? The item being held and Dre's hand on passenger.
They do look similar, yes. This is a grainy photo, but yes, they do look similar.
And were you aware, I'm going to take those back from you, of what other officers from other agencies were doing around the scene?
Was I made aware? I'm sorry.
Were there other officers waiting in marked and unmarked units to potentially pull over the suspect after the controlled buy was?
Yes, sir, there were.
So it was their primary role to initiate or be involved in a traffic stop,
That is correct.
and yours was the debriefing and handling the bot purchase cocaine?
That is correct, sir.
No further questions.
Any recross?
The only information that you have to confirm that what you were provided, that's in exhibit bag, exhibit 4, is the same thing that was shown in 5C in the still shot, is the fact that the CI gave it to you, correct?
The photograph and the evidence of the,
Correct. The only thing confirming that those are the same thing The only person that had any way of knowing if they were the same thing at all was the CI, right?
That is what he handed me. So it would
I
be me
understand
as
that's
well.
what he handed you. You were not personally in his presence. You don't know where his hands were. You couldn't see through the video what he was doing from the time he turned around to the time that you saw him at the house, correct?
I was not present. That's correct.
Yes. So you didn't, you don't know what he did. You don't know what was in his pocket. In fact, from the time you dropped him off at that residence to the time that you met him again, you have no way of knowing whatsoever what was in his pockets, what else there was, whether there was crack cocaine in the house, correct?
The crack cocaine in the house, correct. I did not know if there would be.
You have no way of knowing if he had crack cocaine on this person when he left the house to walk to McDonald's, do you?
I don't know.
Okay. You have no way of knowing what, if anything, was in that balled up wrapper, correct?
Watching the video would be the transaction that they agreed upon.
You have no way of knowing whether it was cocaine, baking soda, a chiclet. You have no way of knowing.
Oh, at that time? No.
Correct. And again, the only evidence we have of whether or not what you were handed was the same thing that was in photograph 5C is the CI, correct?
Correct.
And the CI is not here.
Correct.
And the CI could have had crack cocaine in his house.
He could have, yes.
CI was a well-known crack user, yes?
Yes.
And to say something looks substantially similar from a grainy photograph to an evidence bag, that's not the same as saying they actually are the same thing, is it?
That's what was in that photograph was provided to me from the CI,
Actually,
from that transaction.
You've just testified you can't say that with certainty. You can't make out what letters or numbers are on that receipt in that photograph 5C, can you?
And 5C, no.
No. So the first time you got to examine it was when the CI handed it to you.
But it's presumed that that was the item that was made on that transaction. So,
I understand that's your presumption, but we can't actually factually confirm that, can we?
yes, sir.
No more questions, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Next witness.
State will be calling Sergeant Michael Frank.
Your Honor, can I ask for a 2-minute run to the John break?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Man, it'd be 2 minutes.
I guess water right there, man. Yeah. He wants some water.
name for the record.
Michael Frank?
Are you employed?
Yes.
By whom?
Eastlake Police Department.
And how long have you worked for the Eastlake Police Department?
5 years, 8 months.
Did you have to complete any training for the position?
Yes.
How long was that training?
Approximately 6 months.
What did that generally entail at the police academy?
Yes.
Generally, what does that entail?
Investigative techniques, civil rights, stuff like that.
Did you receive any training as to drug trafficking,
Yes.
identification of drugs,
Yes.
weighing drugs,
Yes.
different terminologies and slang concerning drugs?
Yes.
And are you a certified police officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes.
For how long?
Approximately 7.5 years.
In your job, do you ever collaborate with other police departments?
Yes.
Ever collaborate with the Lake County Narcotics Agency,
Yes.
Willoughby?
Yes.
Have you ever assisted the Lake County Narcotics Agency with controlled buys?
Yes.
How does Eastlake Police Department generally assist the Lake County Narcotics Agency for the controlled buy?
Depends on the specific request. I mean, sometimes we assist with the traffic stop. Sometimes we assist with the arrest and canine handler as well with Sergeant Ward.
Were you working on June 17, 2022?
Yes.
On that date, were you requested to assist with the traffic stop?
Yes.
Who requested your assistance?
Detective Caroon on behalf of the Lake County Narcotics.
And what location did the traffic stop occur at?
Dollar General on Lake Shore.
Do you know the address of that Dollar General?
Not offhand, it's on the west side of 91. We have 3 Dollar Generals in the city.
Did you go to the location of that Dollar General?
Yes.
And what county is that Dollar General located in?
Lake.
I'm showing defense counsel what's previously marked as States Exhibit 6A and 6B. I'll leave that to you. Just look at them. Look up with me once you have. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes.
What are those photos of?
Map of Eastlake, the Dollar General that the traffic stop occurred, and the McDonald's of where the controlled buy occurred.
After working in Eastlake for over 5 years, are you familiar with the geographic area of the city?
Yes.
Is 6A an accurate distance and approximate travel time for someone to drive from the Eastlake McDonald's to the Dollar General?
Yes.
In Lake County? Does States Exhibit 6B fairly inaccurately as well, the geographic area of the Eastlake Dollar General?
Yes.
Just more zoomed in than 6A?
Yes.
State would move to admit States Exhibit 6A and B.
Any objection to 6A or B?
No objections to those, Your Honor.
All right, they're admitted.
I'd ask to publish.
Go ahead.
Moment. I'm putting up States Exhibit 6A. Now everyone can see it. You see this red balloon on the western side of this image?
Yes.
What does that indicate, if anything?
Dollar General where the traffic stop occurred.
And the blue line between the red balloon and a white dot, what is that?
Path of travel from McDonald's.
And the white dot, what does that represent?
McDonald's where the controlled buy occurred.
Now I'm going to put up States Exhibit 6B.
Is this a more zoomed in image of that previous red balloon we saw?
Yes.
Do you see on this map where the traffic stop occurred?
Yes.
Could you use that mouse in front of you to move the cursor to approximately where the vehicle was stopped?
Approximately right here.
So to the northwest of the Dollar General and under 2 parked cars horizontally?
Yes.
And what kind of vehicle was stopped?
Tan colored Toyota Avalon.
when you arrived there, did you see how many occupants were in the vehicle?
2.
Were they still in the vehicle?
I believe they were exiting.
Was it a male or female driver of the vehicle?
Female,
Was she identified?
Shanika Bandy,
Can you remember what she was wearing?
white top, black leggings,
And how about the passenger? Was it a male or female?
male.
And what was he wearing?
He was wearing a white top, black pants.
And
Or, I'm sorry, red pants.
how would you describe the skin tone of the driver?
African American, dark skin complexion,
What about the passenger?
similar.
And did you write a report about your involvement in this investigation?
I wrote a supplement to a report.
In your supplemental report, did you call the male passenger Anthony Nix?
Yes,
Was that accurate?
no,
What would have been accurate to put in your report?
Andrew Nix.
And you said that the defendant was getting out of the car when you arrived.
Yes,
Were any other officers already on the scene?
yes.
Can you remember who?
Patrolman Eden and Patrolman Neath.
Did any other officers arrive later?
Yes, Detective Fawcett.
Approximately how much later?
I couldn't tell you.
What about Detective Courtroom?
I couldn't tell you. I was conducting the traffic stop or assisting with the traffic stop.
And what kind of officer is Officer Neath?
He is a canine handler for Willoughby.
Did he bring his canine?
Yes,
And did the canine assist at all? Did you see it assist at all in the traffic stop?
yes,
Did the canine conduct an open air sniff of the vehicle?
yes.
What happened after the sniff?
Patrolman Neath, canine handler, advised us that there was alert
Objection.
behavior.
Sustain.
What actions did you take after the sniff?
Conducted a probable cause search of the vehicle.
Why did you conduct a search of the vehicle?
The canine had alert behavior that was notified by the canine handler.
Objection, move to strike, lack of foundation and expertise.
Sustain.
Did the defendant make any statements after the open air sniff?
Yes,
To who?
several of the officers.
Did you hear any statements that he said?
Yes,
What did he say?
whatever you find in the car is mine.
Did he say anything else that you can remember?
When I asked what we are going to find, he said, "I guess we'll see."
Do you see the person in court today that told you whatever is in the car, it's mine?
Yes,
What's he wearing?
blue short sleeve shirt, a wristband on the left wrist.
Could the record reflect, Your Honor, that Sergeant Frank had you the defendant?
Yes.
Were you involved in the search of the vehicle?
Yes,
Was anything of note found in the vehicle?
yes.
What?
A bag of crack cocaine in the passenger side door coupling and a green vegetable-like material suspected to be marijuana in the center console.
Did you take any photos of the suspected drugs?
Yes,
Did you move the items at all before taking those photos?
no,
Did you take any photos of the vehicle that was stopped?
yes,
Did you or any officers move the vehicle from where it stopped at?
after the arrest was made, we towed it to Vitalone's.
Before taking the photos, was the vehicle moved at all?
No,
Only by the driver? who was
Yes.
there? Showing defense counsel 6 photos marked as 7A through F. Or E, excuse me, not F.
Your Honor, just to save time, I'm going to object to C, D, and E as part of my continuing objection to the search of the vehicle from the previous, just to protect the record.
All right, your objection's overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm taking that out, State's Exhibits A through B. Just take a look at State's Exhibits 7, 8 through. Do you recognize the photos 7A through
Yes,
How do you recognize them?
I took them,
What are these photos of?
of the vehicle and the drugs that were located within the vehicle.
And do those photos marked as State's Exhibit 7A through E, do they depict the vehicle and the drugs you found in substantially the same condition as you found them that day?
Yes,
They would move to admit State's Exhibits A through E.
All right, is there an objection to A and B, Mr. Crook?
There's no objection to the photographs taken of the vehicle, Your Honor.
All right, so A and B will be admitted, and then C, D, and E will be admitted over the objection of the defendant.
Taking those photos back. Did you collect the bag of cocaine as evidence?
yes.
How did you collect it?
Our standard procedure was placed in a bag and then locked in my cruiser in the lockbox of 857.
And what kind of bag did you collect it in?
Evidence bag?
Do you seal it?
Yes,
Do you label it?
yes, and initial.
And how is evidence usually stored after you've collected it? I assume?
In a secured locker with only the property officer that is able to obtain that. And that's behind a locked facility door as well.
Defense counsel states Exhibit 8, it's been previously opened by prosecution in preparation for trial. Now handing it to you. Right there. You don't have to put on gloves on, I'm not asking you to take it all the way out, but do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is that?
this would be our evidence bag.
Could you open up the evidence bag and look at what's contained inside?
Your Honor, for the record, were both bags opened prior to?
Yeah. I opened up.
Yes,
The state opened up both of them.
Your Honor, given that we haven't established chain of custody yet, I've not seen logs or anything else, I'd object to the admission of this exhibit at this
Well-
time.
He indicated that he seized the cocaine in the car, put it in the envelope, locked it in his car, took it to the Eastlake Police Station where it was locked in the evidence locker, right?
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes.
And then your objection is, there's been nobody to establish that it was brought here
There's no
by,
one,
by anybody?
there's no one to
for-
establish
Wait
where
a
it's.
minute, let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
okay? There's no evidence that was brought by Eastlake from the evidence locker to Mr. Hurd at the prosecutor's office. Is that your objection?
Much more than that, Your Honor.
What is it?
There's no evidence of the chain of custody from the time, and not disputing Officer or Patrolman Frank that he did provide it to the property officer and lock it in the evidence locker. But
Right.
from that time till now, there's absolutely no chain of custody that's been established.
Going from
The
the
time
Eastlake,
that Patrolman,
hold on. Going from the Eastlake Police Department locker to wherever it went before it got here. Is that what you're saying?
correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna overrule it for now, but go ahead, Mr. Hurd.
Does the Eastlake Police Department ever turn over custody of evidence to the Lake County Prosecutor's Office in preparation for trial?
yes,
Is it your understanding that that property was turned over to the Lake County Prosecutor's Office in preparation for trial?
yes,
Objection, foundation.
Overruled.
Is it marked anywhere on the packaging?
yes.
Where do you see that? What do you see?
These would be Detective Caroon's initials. It says Lake County Crime Lab is where it was also transported. And the evidential value 1 was placed on this.
And
What's evidential? What was that, level 1?
Yeah,
is
1
that?
is placed as on the label.
Okay.
could you take out whatever's contained in that envelope?
Same objection, Your Honor. He's
Overruled.
testified that some other people have.
Overruled. Oh, it's overruled right now.
And what is that? Do you recognize that?
Yes, this is the bundle of crack cocaine from the vehicle.
Is that the exact same bundle of cocaine found in the vehicle on June 17, 2022?
Yes,
substantially the same condition as when you sealed it in the evidence bag?
Yes.
Objection.
Overruled.
State would move to admit it. State's exhibit number 8, Your Honor.
Do moot objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, it's admitted.
Now taking State's exhibit 8 back from you. Place it on the table of this courtroom where all the other needed evidence is in. Were you aware whether or not the defendant had been searched at all before you arrived?
Yes.
Was he?
No. He was patted down prior to being placed in a cruiser and secured.
Who patted him down?
Patrolman Eden.
Did he find anything of note when he patted him down?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you observe the defendant get patted down?
Yes.
And did you observe anything get taken out of the defendant's pockets?
Money and 2 cell phones.
Did you observe the officer secure those items anywhere?
Yes.
In what?
In the same lockbox in the rear of EPD Marked Cruiser 857.
And whose marked cruiser is that?
Mine.
Your Honor, I'd ask to publish 7A through E.
My
Well,
apologies.
they've already been admitted.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. What are we looking at here?
Toyota Avalon.
And this is as you found it?
Yes.
Are you aware what street we're looking at in the background?
Lakeshore Boulevard.
And what is this building we see on the eastern side of the image?
Dollar General.
Now looking at 7B, what's this image of?
The rear of the vehicle.
And do you notice anything distinctive about the license plate?
It has a lens cover over it.
And what model of vehicle is this?
An Avalon.
What make?
Toyota.
We're now looking at 7C. What is this a photo of?
The bundle of crack cocaine I located.
Is this where you located it?
Yes.
Had you moved it all before you took this photo?
No.
Is this the driver or passenger side door?
Passenger door.
Front or rear?
Front.
And did you see who was sitting near this or in the front passenger seat?
Yes.
Who was that?
Mr. Nix.
We're now looking at 7D. What's this an image of?
A closer up image of the same.
Still the front passenger
Yes.
side door. Now we're looking at 7E. Where was this photo taken at?
East Lake Police Department.
And why'd you take this photo?
Evidential before packaging.
And did anyone else later assist you with processing the money and funds for evidence that was placed in your vehicle?
Detective Karoon.
What happened to the car the defendant was in?
It was towed to Vitalones.
And what happened to Nix?
He was placed under arrest.
Did you interview him at all after he was placed under arrest?
No.
What about the driver of the vehicle?
No.
Did other officers conduct an interview of the defendant?
Yes.
What about the driver?
Yes.
Were you present for those interviews?
No.
No further questions.
Clerk?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just want to clarify some things with your testimony. I believe you testified that they were already out of the vehicle when you arrived, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if they were already out of the vehicle, you would not know where they were sitting unless someone else told you, correct?
No. When I showed up on scene, the proximity of them exiting the vehicle was still within the arm's reach of the door. They had not made or advanced towards Dollar General yet.
But they were detained there for more than a couple of minutes by Patrolman Eden before you arrived, correct?
No, I was there shortly after the traffic stop occurred.
Well, shortly is a pretty indeterminate period of time. How long?
I couldn't give you a specific time, but I'd say within 30 seconds.
I'm going to pull up, Your Honor. 6A. Perfect. All right. I believe did you put those back on the desk or?
Yeah.
Okay, permission to approach, Your Honor? Handing you what's marked 6A. You recall testifying as to that, correct?
Yes,
Okay. At the very top, pretty much dead center of that photograph, you would agree with me that there's a dot indicating McDonald's right across from the Circle K, correct?
yes,
Okay. And you'd agree with me that the little red map indicator at the far bottom left corner is where the Dollar General is, right?
yes.
Okay. Where were you stationed when Lake County Narcotics put out that the buy was going to happen shortly?
I was at Eastlake Police Department.
Okay. So Eastlake Police Department would be, you got Dollar General. Could you
Yeah,
actually-
approximately where this white tab is. This is State Route 91.
Okay, so so it's kind of blocked by that .5. That the double lane at the very bottom is 91 and the Eastlake PD is to the right of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, starting with that, you did not actually observe the vehicle beforehand, correct? The first time you saw it was when you pulled in, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you were not given a license plate to look for, were you?
no,
Okay, so you come over there. Detective Fawcett is already there? No, sorry, Detective Fawcett was afterwards. That's my mistake, correct?
yes,
Okay. Patrolman Neath was the canine officer, correct?
yes.
Okay. Do you know, if you know, where Patrolman Neath was beforehand?
I do not know.
Okay. And Officer Eden was the one who actually effectuated the stop, correct?
Yes,
Okay. When you got there, they were both outside the vehicle, correct?
yes,
Okay. You did not actually observe them inside the vehicle. Okay. You testified that you had initially misidentified my client on the report by Anthony, correct?
yes,
Okay. But other than that, there's no other issues with the report, correct?
no,
And everything that you've testified to today is consistent and accurate, right?
yes,
Okay. When you heard the statements from my client, was that before or after they were placed in the vehicle?
while they were being placed in the vehicle.
Okay. Was my client cuffed?
I don't know, I wasn't there for the securing him in the vehicle.
Okay. But he was.
When I say I wasn't there, I was on scene, but I was not at the vehicle door with
Okay.
Patrolman Eden.
So you didn't have direct line of sight observation?
Correct.
Okay. Who put him in the vehicle?
Patrolman Eden.
Okay. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say he wasn't given a choice whether or not he got in the vehicle, was he?
Correct.
Okay. All right. How soon after you arrived was he patted down?
Almost immediately.
Okay. Do you know whether or not he was told what the purpose of the pat down was?
I do not.
Do you know whether or not he was told if he was, how's this, was he free to leave when he was patted down?
No.
Okay. I'd like to talk to you about Exhibit 8 real quickly. We should post you on it?
You don't have to ask, you just come and go.
What's that? Before today,
Before you start on Exhibit 8, let me say something about that. Mr. Hurd asked for the admission of 8, I admitted it. I'm going to reverse that ruling at this point in time.
thank you,
I
Your Honor.
presume there's going to be other testimony, so as of right now, it's not admitted.
Understood, Your Honor. From the time that you placed it in the evidence locker in the City of Eastlake Police Department on 17 June 2022 until today, had you seen that particular, had you seen Exhibit 8 in between those two times?
No.
So you have no personal knowledge of what happened to it between now and then?
Yes, it went to Lake County Crime Lab to be processed.
You didn't take it to the crime lab though, did you?
No, there's a log and demonstration of that within the report.
Objection, move to strike.
I'm going to, well, I'll grant it. The question is whether you had any.
I
And I
personally
presume
did
you
not.
mean by personal knowledge that he had, you indicated you had no contact with that after it was placed in the evidence locker at Eastlake PD, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so all you know about what happened is based on what's contained on on an evidence log?
Yeah, and our reporting
Right.
system demonstrates the order.
Right,
and
okay, I understand that, but you had no participation in producing that log or any activity with that log?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, and if you would not mind just taking out the sample that's inside that bag?
You want it fully removed?
Yes, please. Okay, can you tell how many pieces are there?
Approximately 3 to 4 pieces.
Okay. I'm referring now to, I believe this is 7E, the close-up of the cocaine. You took that photograph, correct?
Yes.
That's, looks like 2, maybe 3 pieces, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the cocaine that you have in your hand is actually in a, I'll call it a laboratory plastic envelope, for lack of a better way to describe it. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
That's wrapped up in, it looks like saran wrap, correct?
There is a bindle in here as well.
Okay, the saran wrap is in there. To your knowledge, was any testing for DNA or fingerprints done to that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Do you know how long after you arrived, Detective Fawcett arrived?
Not offhand, no. May I secure this, or do you still want it out?
Oh, my apologies, yes, please. One more question. and that is, did any other officer instruct you to begin the search? Did anyone give you the green light, or how did you?
Canine handler advised that he had a positive alert with his canine partner.
Ask that what the canine handler be stricken?
No, that'll, I mean, you asked him a question, and he gave you that direction, so that's overruled. Redirect?
One moment, Your Honor.
Your Honor, while he's looking, if the court would indulge me, I'd like to put my objection in a little more detail on the record.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. The objection is because the question I asked him was, did someone, who told you to, not why? He gave the why as well as that. The why was non-responsive, and again, it's hearsay. That was the reason for my objection.
Correct.
So you found the bundle of cocaine in the car, and then what did you do?
I secured it in the rear of APD marked unit 857 in
And
the
that's-
locked box.
That's your unit.
It was at the time, yes.
And what did you do with the drugs after that?
Brought it back to East Lake Police Department.
And what did you do with the drugs at the East Lake Police Department?
Followed the evidential processing policy. I placed it into a lab locker that was locked and secured behind a locked door.
And does anyone else, other than agents from your office, your police department, have access to that secure evidence?
The officers don't even have access. There's a property officer and I believe 2 others that are specifically assigned to that for processing.
And does EPD ever submit suspected narcotics to Lake County Crime Lab? for
Yes.
diagnosis? How does EPD go about doing that?
We complete the Lake County Crime Lab form and it is then removed by a property officer and transported to Lake County Crime Lab for processing.
Do you yourself bring that to the crime lab?
That is not one of my roles, no.
Who is the property officer normally?
Hauser is the head property officer.
Timothy Hauser?
Yes,
And his signature would appear on the submission sheet?
yes. Patrolman Clark also does the Lake County Crime Lab and does the results as well.
State would again move to United States Exhibit 8, Your Honor.
Well, you talked about the process by which it's done, right? I mean, what about this? I mean, I don't care about the process, I care about this case, right?
Yes, Your Honor. All right. No further questions.
Recross?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down. Let's come back at 10 to 1, resume.
All right.